Hello students, so this video is basically for class 8, chapter 8, that is your reproduction. This belongs to your biology section and it has to be done, the question answer for the respective has to be done in your biology notebook. Okay, so let's start this chapter and starting from, so when we were in 6th standard, we had studied about several processes, or you can say several activities which are found in the living organisms which differentiate living and non-living, right? So for example, locomotion, eating food, respiration, or you can say excretory system, respiratory system are the ones which are present only in the living beings, and sort of you can say they are the one which basically differentiate living from non-livings, right? So reproduction again comes a sort of phenomena which is found in living beings, again a differentiating factor between the livings and non-livings, right? So what exactly is reproduction? It is nothing but the production of the offsprings or the new ones which resemble the old ones, right? New offsprings are produced, and the sole purpose of reproduction is for the you can say for the continuation of the species on the planet of Earth, right? And by continuation I mean to say, like, every individual, irrespective of the species they are belonging, they have a definite lifespan, and if the new offsprings are not produced, you will see soon see that they'll be coming under the category of endangered and finally becoming extinct, that we have again seen in some of the videos of the previous chapter, right? So let's study in detail about this reproduction phenomena. Moving on, first thing that comes in a book is like, what are the different methods of reproduction? Basically a classification is done. So this classification is depending upon the genders of parents, like whether both the parents are involved, that is a male and a female, or whether a single parent is involved. So this category specifies that there are two types of reproduction. First is one is basically your asexual, and the second one is your sexual. Asexual reproduction states that if a single parent is involved, irrespective whether a male or a female, now they'll be able to produce the new offsprings, and they'll not be production of any sort of gametes, or any fertilization will be there, right? These terms like gametes or fertilization will be getting cleared soon enough when we move on, as we move on, right? Now for a better understanding, I'll just tell the students, like, if you would have seen any amoeba, basically unicellular organisms, or any sort of multicellular, or you can say low level like hydra and all. So there you cannot basically differentiate whether it's a male amoeba or a female amoeba, right? So something which is found basically or specifically in the unicellular organisms, so we can call that as a asexual reproduction. There no sort of genetic variation is there, means to say, like, the offsprings which are produced are exact replicas of the parents, right? Now as far as the sexual reproduction is concerned, it is quite opposite to that. Here the involvement of both the parents, that is a male and a female, yeah, that is both the genders of parents are being involved. There the production of gametes occur, or you can say the reproductive cells, right? And then we have fertilization concept, and which is basically found in all the higher, or you can say complex multicellular organism. Now these are the characteristics, right? Now when we were studying about these things, we saw that there were two terms like gametes or reproductive cell. So what they are, that we need to understand. In our body, we can say there are two types of cells. Generally, we can have a classification. So first one are the basically somatic cells, and the second one are your reproductive cells. So the sole purpose of somatic cells, you can say, it is they are involved in the process of growth and development, you can say. And as far as the reproductive cells are concerned, they are the one which are peculiar to the process of reproduction, right? Now moving on, here our main focus in this chapter will be on both. So let's start with this sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction, what exactly is like? So basically here the gametes will be produced, or gametes, or you can call them as the reproductive cells, and the respective reproductive organs will be produced. Like for example, in humans, if we are considering male reproductive cells or male gametes, we call them with the name of sperms, and then the female ones are called as ovums, right? Which are respectively produced in the gender-wise specific reproductive organs, right? And once they are being produced, there occurs the fertilization, or you can see the fusion of both male and female gamete. Then we have a single cell structure called as zygote, which is formed, which is the first stage of life cycle of any human, you can say, right? Now there comes another definition in our book. They have given a small hint about that. There is your hermaphrodite. So what basically are hermaphrodites, that we have to understand. And hermaphrodites are the one basically if both, like if you are looking at your mom, father, yourself, or in your class also, you would have seen we are able to classify boys and girls, we are saying, right? There are certain specific characters or physical traits on the basis of which we are able to classify that they are the one which are males, they are the one which are females and all. But in certain organisms, the reproductive organs, whether they are male or female, are present in both the organism. Again, I'm repeating, if in any particular organism both the female and male reproductive organs are present in a single individual, then those organisms falls under the category of hermaphrodites, right? For example, the best example that we have is of earthworm. So if we take a closer look at the earthworm when we'll be going to high classes and all, there we'll see the both genitalia, right? That is your female and male reproductive organs will be present, right? Now moving on, fertilization we have understood that is nothing but the fusion of male and female gametes. So it has been classified into again two categories, that is your internal fertilization and your external fertilization. So again, the name only specifies what exactly is the difference between these two. Internal one, you can say it occurs inside the body, and the external one is the one that occurs outside the body. So internal fertilization, you can say, right? For example, I'll start with the external one. If you consider the example of fish, or you can say frog and all, mostly basically the aquatic animals. So what will happen? The female and male, they will both release their respective reproductive cells in the aquatic media, and the fertilization that will be happening, right, that will be a random process, purely by luck, by chance, right, that sperms will combine with the ovums and all, right, and then there will be a then there will be a formation of egg and all. So here the chances of success are very low, and for that reason only the number of sperms, or you can say the number of ovas which are being produced are quite high, because it's basically a luck factor that will occur. And as far as the internal fertilization is concerned, here the male reproductive cells are you can say transferred to the female body, and the chances of fertilization are very high, and for that reason only so the organisms which show internal fertilization, less number of ovas are being produced. Right, now comes the reproduction in humans, that is the next topic. So all we have to understand is like when we, after the birth of a baby, there are the stage of human development is being classified into several stages, like we call them as baby, infant, which is newborn, and then we put them child, we use a word, then we say toddler they have become, then you all go get into the stage of teenager, then after that we have adulthood, and finally we go to the later stages of our life. So this transition that occurs from adulthood, right, to the period of you can say from the teenager to the adulthood, it is not a one day process. It occurs, it takes several years of the time, right? And this transition period is called as adolescence, right? And there comes one more stage that is called as puberty. Puberty is nothing but the age and which basically the reproductive organs basically matures, right? Okay, now moving on, what are basically reproductive organs that we all know? Okay, so continuing further, now we can say what is puberty. Puberty is nothing but the age at which both the female and males of humans, they basically become mature enough, or they are capable of reproduction, or their reproductive organs or genitalia have completely developed, right? So in females, this age is from 10 to 15, like it might they might become might reach the age of puberty at the age of 10 or 15, it may varies. And for boys it is taken into account as 12 to 15, and that is the reason like those physical changes that are occurring in our body. So CBSE has decided to put this chapter, right? Now understanding the female reproductive system, there are certain parts that we have to understand. So what basically the female reproductive organs consist of, they are basically a pair of ovaries, then we have fallopian tube, and we have uterus, cervix, and finally a vagina. So what exactly happens is like ovaries are the site where the female hormones, basically estrogen and progesterone, are being produced, and along with that they are the site where exactly the female reproductive cells that you can call as ovas are being produced, right? And what exactly is ovum, that we have discussed. Now every once in a month, they will either of the ovary, they will be releasing, it will be releasing a single ova, and that will be the responsible factor for the menstrual cycle that we'll be studying in the upcoming chapters, right? And there are two cases that we have to understand. There are two cases basically. Either the fertilization can occur or it won't happen. So in case if it is happening, so the fertilization will happen in the fallopian tube, right? And after the fallopian tube, the lining of the uterus will be made, or they will develop in such a way that they will be ready for implantation of zygote at the uterus wall, right, which is basically the female's womb, right? And cervix is basically a junction between the vagina and, you can say, your uterus, and vagina is also called as a birth canal. Moving on, we have female reproductive organs. So again, the organs which are involved are testes, urethra, vasa deferens, then epididymis and penis, right? So testes are similar to ovaries. Again, like for the production of male hormone testosterone, they are responsible for the production of male reproductive cells, that is your sperms, and they are sort of glands actually, if I'm saying ovaries or your testes, right? And after that, they are being stored in a place called as epididymis, right? Epididymis basically is a site where they actually mature. Ovary, testes is a site where they are getting produced, and epididymis is a site of maturation, right? Then if we take a closer look at the structure of a human sperm, right? So you can see the structure over here. So it is basically divided into three parts: head, middle piece, and finally your tail, right? So one thing again we have to understand, like the female ovums are immotile, that they cannot move of their own, but the male reproductive cells, that is your sperms, are highly motile, right? And that is why we have this tail-like structure which will act as a sort of propeller and enabling the movement of them. And since they are moving, they need a high amount of energy, and that energy is being obtained from the mitochondria which are present in the middle piece, right? And finally, then in the head we have a nucleus of that specific cell. Okay, now for what will happen is, like, they will be sperms will be produced in this, what we call as testes. They will go to epididymis where the maturation will occur. Then from the duct, that is your vasa deferens, they'll be moving, right? Then finally it will come out through the penis, right? Now moving on, we have to understand what exactly occurs in the fertilization that we have seen. Males will be producing around 500 million number of sperms, and female will be producing only one ova in a month, and the fertilization will occur in the fallopian tube, right? It will be resulting in the formation of a zygote, and after that zygote that will be getting implanted in the uterus wall, right? So and after that few weeks, we have this baby will start developing. Now there comes the topic that is called as in vitro fertilization. So basically in vitro fertilization means what you have to understand is, like, if in humans the fertilization is occurring outside the body, that is the case in vitro fertilizations. So if there are certain medical complication with the married couple and all, what will happen is, like, the doctor surgically they'll collect the ovums and sperms, and artificially, you can say, the fertilization will be done, which will be resulting in the formation of zygote. And after zygote, several differentiating factors will start that will result in the formation of embryo, and finally this embryo will be implanted in the female's body. So the babies which are being produced with the help of in vitro fertilization, they are called as test tube babies, right? And the mothers whose uterus is being utilized for the development of baby, they are called as surrogate mothers, and right? Now embryo development that we have to understand, like once the zygote is formed, there are several differentiating stages of the development of the human baby, right? And that period is basically around 9 months, that we call as the gestation period, right, where the development or differentiating factors or different organs are being produced inside the human body. Now moving on to the next topic, we have oviparous and viviparous animals that we can classify. So what basically are oviparous and viviparous animals? So the name only specifies. Basically, viviparous are the animals in which the new ones are being given birth. For example, human, calves, dogs, cats, and all. And oviparous are the animals in which the species, they lay eggs, right? And after that they have a hatching process. Now what exactly happens in case of hen, that we have studied in our classes also. The fertilization in terms of hen basically is of internal type, and when this movement of zygote being formed after the fertilization is occurring through the fallopian tube, various coatings of various coating occur, or various secretion of different organs are being developed, being secreted over the top of this zygote, and which will result in the formation of a very hard shell, and that's what comes out. And there the development doesn't occur inside the body of female, it occurs outside the female's body, that is within the egg only, right? And once the eggs has been hatched, in terms of hen, if I'm saying, the normally the hens sit over the egg for a period of around 21 days, that is called as incubation period, where the development of the chicks are happening, and finally the hatching will occur, that is the shell of the eggs will get broken down and the new chicks will be coming out. Now comes the process of metamorphosis, that is a simple topic. I'll say it's like if you take a look at a human baby, right? We can directly say that this guy will be a human's baby, right? Because a baby or a small child will also have two hands, two legs, two eyes, one nose, 2 ears, and all one mouth, right? But there are certain species where the young ones, they completely are different looking from the ones when they basically mature enough, right? For example, several changes occur in their body, and those changes are called as metamorphosis. So they have given the example of butterfly and frog in our syllabus. So in terms of butterfly, what happens? So the caterpillar is the first stage, and later on it get into the stage of chrysalis or pupa, and then it becomes a butterfly, which lay eggs, and this life cycle is being repeated. So what need to be understood is like the caterpillar doesn't resemble like a butterfly, right? In which the adult ones completely differ from the young ones, right? So the several changes which are occurring in their body, those are called as metamorphosis. And same comes the case with the frog, right? Once the egg are being formed after the fertilization, the second stage is your basically tadpole, which looks like you can say young fishes only. They have proper gills also for respiration. Then they get into the stage of their limbs start developing, and finally they're called as froglet. Basically both the limbs, when they develop, they have a special tail also, and finally this tail will disappear and they will look like a frog. So again, if you look at the second and the fifth stage, you cannot have a look and say that these young ones are of frog exactly. Now moving on, we have asexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction, again we know what exactly happens. So in this case, in this class, we will be studying the two types, that is basically your budding and your binary fission. So binary fission, basically the name only states it is basically found in amoeba. Binary means two, and fission means to get splitted up. So once the organism matures, for example, if we are considering the case of amoeba, when organism matures and means it cannot grow further and all, then the nucleus will start dividing, and then along with that cytoplasm will divide, which will result in the formation of two young amoebas, okay? And those amoebas are called as daughter amoeba. So this division can occur laterally or it can occur longitudinally, okay? And the new ones which are basically produced are having some sort of you can say they are exactly replica of the parents, right? Because no genetic variation occurs. Now comes the budding. Budding is something where the buds are being formed, and we know buds are nothing but a sort of protuberance, ubhar, sujan, which are being formed because of the repeated cellular divisions and on the body of an organism, and they start developing and they become completely a new organism and detaches itself from the parent organism. Right now comes the determination of sex of a baby in humans. So basically, what we have to understand, like in all our cells, basically we have 46 chromosomes, that is 23 pair of chromosomes, and irrespective of male and female. So first 44, that is 22 pairs are common in both male and female, and what differentiates a male and female is the last pair of chromosome, that is 45 and 46. Okay, so what exactly happens, that is being given in the diagram. So a female basically has 22 plus XX chromosomes, right? And a male has 22 plus XY chromosome. And what happens is like when the reproductive cells are formed, being like whether I'm talking about sperm or a womb, nothing happens. Basically they become haploid. That will be seeing in the lateral classes, that the number of chromosomes reduces. So 23 chromosomes, and 23 chromosomes will be present either in ova or on a sperm, and the chances of fertilizations are completely random. It depends whether a sperm carrying X chromosome will fertilize an ova, or whether an A chromosome carrying sperm carrying Y chromosome will fertilize an ova. It's purely a luck by chance process, right? And there are 50% chances whether the baby that will be born, whether it will be a boy or it will be a girl. So, and basically the responsible factor or differentiating factor whether the baby will be boy or girl are males, not the females, right? Because they have both XX and the male have XY. Right. Now certain issues, gender issues and myths are that only, like basically in the olden days and of India specifically, where we are living in a patriarchal type of society where a male are being considered as a dominating factor in a household. If a lady is giving birth to girls, right, that was not considered as a good thing, I'll say a taboo, right? But what happens, scientifically we can say, right, it is males which are responsible. And to avoid this, what happens is, like during the gestation period, around 4 to 5 months later, we have this ultrasound. So we can take a look at the ultrasound and see what exactly are is the gender of the baby, because genitals would have been developed by the age of 4 to 5 months. And within the female body, the females, young girls were being killed, and that is called as female feticide, right? And next comes the last topic, that is called as cloning. It's nothing but the creating the clones or exactly identical ones of a living individual, right? Right. What exactly happened was, like, the scientists have been trying to create clones for various animals, but they were successful in terms of the sheep. Basically, that sheep was called as Dolly, and what they had done, they had collected several samples or several cells from the udder, basically the mammary gland of a sheep, and they were able to develop a clone. And literal, it was done artificially. And that's it from this chapter, guys. See you in the next video.